Everyone chases expensive watches. Almost nobody looks at the cheap ones, and that's exactly where the value is hiding. Today, we're breaking down 3 overlooked watches that cost far less than the hype pieces, but outperform them in durability, reliability, and long-term value. Stick around until watch number 1. It uses technology so good that Swiss brands refuse to adopt it because it would expose their mechanical movements as technically obsolete. Let's start at number 3 and work down to the absolute goldmine. Number 3. Casio Oceanus OCWS 101 AJF, the Mini Grand Seiko. Most people hear Casio and picture a $20 plastic digital watch from a gas station. That's intentional brand association. Casio wants you thinking G-Shock and cheap calculators. It keeps expectations low. It protects their mass market positioning. Meanwhile, their Japan-only Oceanus line is quietly using the same finishing equipment as Grand Seiko. The same Salas polishing machines, the same craftsmen, the same techniques that Grand Seiko charges $6,000 for. Let me be crystal clear about this. I'm not saying similar techniques. I'm saying the same machines, the same factory equipment, the same polishing methods. Casio's Yamagata facility uses Salas polishing machines, the exact technology Grand Seiko made famous. The OCW S100 retails for around $350 to $600, depending on where you buy it from, Japanese retailers. It's titanium, full titanium case and bracelet, not steel with titanium coating, not titanium-plated steel, actual solid titanium throughout. Here's what that titanium construction means in practice. The entire watch weighs 90 grams. For comparison, a standard stainless steel Seiko 5 weighs around 150 grams. A steel Rolex Submariner weighs 155 grams. You're wearing a watch that feels like almost nothing on your wrist. You forget you're wearing it. That's not marketing hype. That's physics. Titanium is 45% lighter than steel while being significantly stronger. It's hypoallergenic. It doesn't irritate skin. It doesn't cold shock your wrist in winter like steel does. But weight isn't the real story here. The story is the finishing. The story is what Casio does to that titanium before it ships. Salas polishing, sometimes called Zaratsu polishing when Grand Seiko does it, creates mirror flat surfaces with absolutely zero distortion. You can hold the watch up to your face and see perfect reflections in the case and bracelet. No waviness. No ripples, no orange peel texture, just pure, distortion-free mirror finish. This isn't buffing. This isn't regular polishing. This is a precision grinding technique using specialized flat lap machines that remove metal at microscopic levels until the surface is geometrically flat. It takes skill. It takes time. It takes equipment most watch brands don't invest in. Grand Seiko charges $3,500 minimum for watches with this finishing. Usually $4,500 to $6,000. The Oceanus OCW S100 costs $350. Same machines, same technique, different brand name on the dial. That's it. That's the only difference. The movement technology is where Casio truly embarrasses Swiss watches at this price. It's solar-powered and radio-controlled using multi-band 6 technology. It syncs with atomic clocks in 6 locations worldwide. Japan, North America, Europe, China. Pull the crown, turn it to your time zone, and the watch automatically receives radio signals from the nearest atomic clock station. It adjusts itself. It stays within 1 second of atomic time, every single day, forever. Not accurate to plus 15 to minus seconds per month, like most quartz. Not accurate to plus 5 minus seconds per day, like COSC chronometers. 1 second total. Maximum deviation, ever. No battery changes, ever. The solar cell lasts the lifetime of the watch. Just expose it to any light. Sunlight, indoor lighting, even phone screens emit enough light, and it charges. Leave it in a drawer for 6 months in complete darkness, and it'll still run when you pull it out. The power reserve is 6 months after full charge. Think about that. A Swiss automatic watch stops running if you don't wear it for 40 to 80 hours, depending on power reserve. The Oceanus runs for 6 months in complete darkness after a full charge. It charges from any light source. It never needs battery replacement. It's functionally maintenance-free. The sapphire crystal is dual curved with anti-reflective coating, achieving 99% transparency, according to Casio's specifications. Most Swiss watches at this price, and I'm talking $1,000 to $2,000. Swiss watches use flat mineral crystal. The Oceanus uses curved sapphire that costs significantly more to manufacture, but looks infinitely better and resists scratching far better. The case is 10.5 millimeter thick. That's thinner than an Apple Watch Series 11. Thinner than most dress watches costing $2,000. It slides under any shirt cuff without catching. It doesn't feel like you're wearing a hockey puck strapped to your wrist. The bracelet uses what Casio calls a one-push, three-fold clasp with slide extension. This basically means you can micro-adjust the fit on the fly without tools. Hot day and your wrist swells, slide it out 5 millimeters. Cold day and your wrist contracts, slide it in. No screwdrivers. No trips to the watch shop. Just push and slide. Here's the catch. Nobody mentions up front. This watch is Japan domestic market only, JDM. You can't walk into an American Casio dealer and buy it. You can't find it at Best Buy or Target. You need to order from Japanese retailers who ship internationally. Sites like Sakura Watches, IPPO, Japan Watch, Japan Select, or the Japanese Factory specialize in shipping JDM watches worldwide. They're reputable. They've been doing this for years, but you're dealing with international shipping, customs, and potential import duties depending on your country. The second catch, proprietary lugs. The bracelet integration means you can't easily swap to a leather or NATO strap like you can with most watches. The lugs are shaped specifically for the integrated bracelet. Aftermarket straps don't fit without modification. But honestly, the titanium bracelet is so comfortable and so light that most Oceanus owners never want to change it anyway. It's not like steel bracelets that pull arm hair or feel heavy after 8 hours. It's titanium. It feels like wearing nothing. The third catch, it's quartz. If you're a mechanical purist who thinks quartz watches have no soul, this watch won't change your mind. But if you value accuracy over romance, if you value convenience over ritual, if you value never worrying about servicing or timing, the Oceanus makes mechanical watches look primitive. Here's why this watch is an absolute goldmine. You're getting Grand Seiko level finishing, titanium construction, solar power, atomic accuracy, sapphire crystal, and advanced bracelet engineering for $350. The equivalent package from a Swiss brand costs $2,000 minimum. From Grand Seiko itself, $3,500 to $6,000. Let me put this in perspective. The cheapest titanium watch from Omega, the Seamaster Aquaterra in titanium, costs around $7,200. It's automatic. It needs servicing every 5 to 7 years at $700 to $1,000 per service. It's accurate to maybe +3 to -3 seconds per day if well regulated. It weighs more than the Oceanus. The finishing is excellent, yes, but the Oceanus finishing is in the same ballpark for 5% of the price. The watch community knows this secret. That's why Oceanus has a cult following on watch forums. People who discover Oceanus don't just buy one. They buy 3 or 4 different models. They realize Casio has been hiding a luxury line in plain sight for over a decade. Why doesn't Casio market Oceanus in the US? Because it would cannibalize their mass market positioning. They sell $20 digital watches at Walmart. They can't simultaneously market $400 luxury watches at the same retailers. It creates brand confusion. So Oceanus stays JDM. It stays a secret. It stays undervalued. And that's exactly why it's a goldmine for people who discover it. If you want the absolute best value in watches under $1,000, the Oceanus OCW S100 is objectively unbeatable. Not good for the price. Actually unbeatable regardless of price when you calculate finishing quality, materials quality, and technical capability per dollar spent. Buy it before Casio wises up and starts selling it globally at $800 to $1,000 like they should be charging. The Oceanus proves finishing doesn't require a luxury brand name. But finishing is just aesthetics. What about the movement itself? What if I told you there's a watch under $700 that sweeps smoother than a $10,000 Rolex? Number 2. Bulova Jet Star, the forbidden movement. The Bulova Jetstar uses a 262 kHz high-frequency quartz movement called precisionist. Most quartz watches run at 32 Hz. The Jetstar runs 8 times faster. 8 times. Why does frequency matter? Because it determines how smooth the second-hand sweeps and how accurate the watch can be. Standard quartz watches tick once per second. That's the signature quartz. Tick, tick, tick. Everyone recognizes and many people hate. It's mechanical. It's rhythmic. It's also jarring if you're used to smooth, sweeping mechanical watches. Mechanical watches sweep smoothly because they beat 6 to 8 times per second, depending on the movement. A standard 28,800 vibrations per hour, mechanical movement beats 8 times per second. That creates the smooth sweep. But it's still visible as individual steps if you look closely. The Bulova Precisionist beats 16 times per second. That's twice as fast as high-beat mechanical movements. The second hand doesn't tick. It doesn't even sweep like a normal mechanical. It glides. It almost looks like it's floating around the dial. Put a Bulova Jetstar next to a Rolex Submariner. Watch the second hands. The Rolex sweeps beautifully at 8 beats per second. The Bulova sweeps twice as smoothly at 16 beats per second. The Rolex costs $10,250. The Bulova costs $400. Now let's talk accuracy. The Precisionist movement is accurate to within 5 seconds per year. A COSC-certified mechanical chronometer is accurate to -4 to +6 seconds per day. That's the best mechanical watches can do. And that's only immediately after certification. Over time, regulation drifts. After a few years without servicing, most mechanicals are off by 10 to 15 seconds per day. Do the math. A COSC chronometer at -4 to +6 seconds per day can be off by 2,190 seconds per year. That's 36.5 minutes. The Bulova is off by 5 seconds maximum. The Bulova is objectively 400 plus times more accurate than a certified Swiss chronometer. Let me say that again. 400 times more accurate, for 4% of the price. Here's why most luxury brands refuse to use high-frequency quartz, because it would prove their $10,000 mechanical movements are technically obsolete for the core function of telling time accurately. Mechanical watches exist in 2026 because of romance, tradition, and craftsmanship. Not because they're better at their primary function. They're worse. Significantly worse. Less accurate. More expensive to maintain. More fragile. Heavier. Thicker. But they're beautiful. They're mechanical marvels. Watching tiny gears and springs work together to measure time is mesmerizing. Opening a display case back and seeing a hand-finished movement is artwork. Mechanical watches connect you to centuries of watchmaking tradition. That's worth something to many people, including me. I own mechanical watches. I love mechanical watches. But let's be honest about what we're buying. We're buying romance. We're buying tradition. We're buying craftsmanship. We're not buying superior timekeeping technology. The Jetstar specifically is a 1973 vintage design reissue. Bulova made a watch called the Jetstar in the 70s with a distinctive turtle case, shape, rounded, cushion-shaped, chunky in a good way. The modern version recreates that vintage aesthetic with modern precisionist technology inside. The dial has a gorgeous sunburst finish that radiates from the center. Applied indices, not printed, not painted, actually three-dimensional metal markers applied to the dial. Dauphine hands. Those elegant, tapered hands that look like swords. It's a design masterclass in vintage dive watch aesthetics. But the movement inside is pure 2020s technology. High-frequency quartz beating faster than almost any mechanical watch ever made. Only a handful of specialty high-beat mechanical watches beat faster than 16 times per second, and they cost over $10,000 and require servicing every 3 to 4 years, because the faster beat rate increases wear. The Jetstar retails around $350 to $425, depending on sales and which retailer you buy from. For comparison, the cheapest Rolex you can buy, the Oyster Perpetual 31mm, costs $6,200. The Jetstar sweeps smoother and runs more accurately than that Rolex for 6% of the price. Is the Rolex a better watch overall? Absolutely. It's fully mechanical. It has superior finishing. It has vastly better brand prestige. It holds value on the secondary market. It's serviceable for generations. You can pass it to your grandchildren. But if we're talking purely about technical performance, accuracy, and smoothness of the second hand, the Bulova wins by a landslide. It's not even remotely close. Here's the catch with high-frequency quartz. Battery life is shorter than standard quartz. Standard quartz watches run 5 to 10 years on one battery because they only pulse once per second. High-frequency quartz beating 16 times per second drains the battery faster. The Precisionist runs 2 to 4 years on one battery, depending on usage. Still way better than winding a mechanical watch every day or wearing it constantly to keep the automatic rotor moving. And battery replacement costs $10 to $15 at any jeweler or watch shop. Compare that to $800 to $1,200 for mechanical service. The second catch is that this watch is heavy. The case is stainless steel. It's a chunky 70s vintage design. It's not trying to be lightweight. It's trying to be a substantial tool watch from the era when dive watches were actual tools. If you want lightweight and modern, buy the Oceanus. If you want vintage dive watch aesthetics with modern quartz technology, buy the Jetstar. The third catch is that the sweeping hand is so smooth that some people find it unsettling. They're psychologically used to either ticking quartz 1 beat per second or sweeping mechanical 6 to 8 beats per second. The Precisionist at 16 beats per second is faster than both. It almost looks electronic. It almost looks battery-powered in a weird way, even though it literally is battery-powered. Some people see that ultra-smooth sweep and love it immediately. Some people see it and think something's wrong with the watch. It's a personal preference thing. Here's why this watch is a goldmine. You're getting technical performance that objectively beats watches costing over $10,000. The accuracy is better than anything mechanical regardless of price. The sweep is smoother than anything mechanical regardless of price. The maintenance costs are trivial compared to mechanical watches. If you hate the ticking of quartz but can't justify spending $800 to $1,200 every 5 to 7 years servicing a mechanical watch, the Bulova Precisionist is the perfect loophole. It's the sweet spot between quartz convenience and mechanical aesthetics. The watch community doesn't discuss this loudly because it's awkward and uncomfortable. Admitting that a $400 Bulova beats a $10,000 Rolex on core technical grounds undermines the entire luxury mechanical watch market. So everyone quietly agrees not to mention it too loudly. They acknowledge the Precisionist is interesting or unique without saying the quiet part out loud. It's technically superior to mechanical watches costing 25 times more. But the truth is objective and measurable. If accuracy and smoothness matter to you more than brand prestige and mechanical romance, the Jetstar is superior to mechanical watches in its core function of keeping time smoothly and accurately. That's not an opinion. That's physics and mathematics. The Bulova wins on movement technology. But luxury watches aren't just about movements. They're about dials. Handcrafted dials using techniques that take years to master. Which brings us to the number one goldmine. The watch that should cost $6,000 but doesn't. Number 1. Citizen NB 106012L, the lacquer loophole. This is the absolute number one goldmine. While everyone fights over the Tissot PRX and argues about which colorway looks better, real collectors are quietly buying every Citizen NB 1060 they can find before the market wakes up and prices correct to where they should be. The dial on this watch uses a traditional Japanese silver leaf lacquer technique called gofun in Japanese craftsmanship terminology. This isn't printing, this isn't stamping, this isn't even hand painting. This is actual hand-applied silver foil covered in multiple layers of blue pigment lacquer. This is the exact same technique Grand Seiko uses on their Omiwatari limited editions, inspired by the frozen Lake Suwa surface. Those watches sell for $6,000 to $8,000 new. The technique is labor-intensive, skill-intensive, and time-intensive. The process works like this. Craftsmen lay down thin sheets of silver leaf onto the dial base. Silver leaf, not silver paint. Actual metallic silver in paper-thin sheets. Then they apply the first layer of colored lacquer by hand. Let it cure. Apply the second layer. Let it cure. Sometimes 3 or 4 layers depending on the desired depth and color saturation. Then they polish the lacquer to create a smooth, glossy surface with incredible depth. The final step involves quality control, where they reject any dial with even microscopic imperfections. The result is a dial that changes color dramatically depending on light angle and intensity. Blue in direct light, purple blue in indirect light, almost black in low light or shadow. The depth is incredible and impossible to photograph accurately. It looks three-dimensional. It looks like you could fall into the dial if you stared long enough. Mass-produced watch dials, which are dials you see on watches under $500 from most brands, are either printed or stamped. You're looking at a flat surface with ink or pigment applied. It's two-dimensional. Light hits it and reflects directly back. There's no depth, no complexity, no magic. Lacquer dials are completely different. They're layered like a cake. The silver leaf sits underneath everything. The lacquer layers sit on top. Light penetrates through the semi-transparent lacquer, hits the reflective silver leaf underneath, and bounces back through the lacquer. That interaction between light, lacquer, and silver creates the depth and color-shifting effect. Grand Seiko charges $6,000 to $8,000 for this technique. Citizen charges $550 to $1,000 depending on the retailer and current sales. Same technique, same labor intensity, same hand-applied process, same visual result. Different brand name. That's literally the only difference. The movement is the Miyota 9011. This is Citizen's high-beat automatic caliber. It beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour, exactly the same frequency as ETA 2824, Celita SW 200, and most Swiss movements costing $1,500 to $3,000. But here's what's interesting about the Miyota 9011. It's thinner than equivalent Swiss movements. The 9011 is 3.9 millimeter thick. The ETA 2824 is 4.6 millimeter thick. That 0.7 millimeter difference translates to thinner watches with better wrist presence. It's also more reliable based on watchmaker feedback across forums. The 9011 is designed for easier servicing. Parts are cheaper and more available. Independent watchmakers love working on Miyota movements because they're straightforward, well-documented, and parts are readily accessible without going through Swiss distributors. The case is stainless steel. The crystal is sapphire. The finishing is very good for the price. Not Grand Seiko level, not Zaratsu polished, but significantly better than most watches under $1,000. The applied indices are properly executed. The hands are well-shaped and properly loomed. The watch wears at 40 mm diameter, 46 mm lug-to-lug, 11.5 thick. These are perfect dimensions for versatility. Not too big, not too small, not too thick, not too thin. It fits under dress shirt cuffs. It works with casual clothes. It's the Swiss watch killer sizing that works for 90% of wrists. Here's what makes this the ultimate gold mine of all 4 watches on this list. The secondary market hasn't caught on yet. The market hasn't corrected. The opportunity window is still open. In February 2026, you can buy the Citizen NB1060-12L new from retailers for $550 to $1,000. Check eBay completed listings. Check Chrono24 current listings. Check watch forums in the sales section. It's trading at retail or slightly below retail. Compare that market behavior to Grand Seiko. The cheapest lacquer dial, Grand Seiko, the SBGA 413 Mount Iwata, retails for $6,200. On the secondary market, it trades for $5,500, $6,000. Minimal depreciation because demand is strong and supply is limited. The Citizen NB1060 offers 80% of the visual impact for 10% of the price. And the watch market hasn't noticed yet. Most collectors don't know this watch exists. Most people searching for hand-lacquered dial watch find Grand Seiko and stop there. They don't dig deeper. They don't discover the Citizen alternative. But that's changing. Watch collectors are starting to discover the NB1060. YouTube reviewers are covering it. Forum discussions are increasing month by month. Reddit posts are getting more upvotes and comments. The secret is slowly getting out. Once enough people realize they can get a hand-lacquered dial for around $750 instead of saving up $6,000 for a Grand Seiko, demand will spike. Supply won't increase. because Citizen only makes limited quantities of the NB1060. It's part of their collection line, which is their premium domestic market offering. We're watching this exact pattern happen in real time with other undervalued watches. The Tissot PRX cost $650 in 2021. Now, it's hard to find under $900 because everyone discovered it was massively undervalued for an integrated bracelet Swiss watch. The market corrected. Prices went up 30 to 40%. The same pattern will happen with the Citizen NB1060. Not immediately, not tomorrow, but over the next 12 to 24 months as awareness spreads, the watch will correct to $1,200 to $1,500 because that's where a hand-lacquered dial watch should be priced in a rational market. You have maybe 6 to 12 months before this correction happens. Maybe less if a major YouTube channel covers it and sends 100,000 viewers to search for it on eBay and Chrono24. Once demand spikes, dealers raise prices, secondary market sellers raise prices. The opportunity closes. The catch with this watch, it's automatic. You need to wear it regularly or wind it every few days. If you want set and forget convenience where you never think about the watch, buy the Oceana Solar Quartz. If you want the ritual and romance of mechanical watchmaking combined with visual artistry, buy the Citizen. The second catch, it's a dress watch. No dive bezel, no chronograph pushers, no complications beyond hours, minutes, seconds, and date. If you need tool watch functionality, look elsewhere. If you want pure visual beauty in a dress watch format, this is it. The third catch, the lacquer dial is more delicate than printed dials. Don't drop this watch face down on concrete. Don't bang it against door frames. The lacquer can crack or chip if seriously impacted. Treat it like the handcrafted piece of art it is. Baby it a little. It's not a G-Shock. Here's why this is the #1 gold mine of all 4 watches. You're getting hand-applied lacquer work that rivals $6,000 to $8,000 Grand Seiko for $750. You're getting a proven Miyota automatic movement. You're getting sapphire crystal and solid finishing. And most importantly, the secondary market hasn't corrected yet. Buy this watch now in February 2026. Wear it for a year or two. Enjoy it. Fall in love with how the dial changes color throughout the day. Then, check secondary market prices in early 2028. I'm willing to bet real money it's trading 50 to 100% higher than today's pricing. Not because of hype or artificial scarcity or influencer marketing, because the market will eventually recognize that hand-lacquered dials for $750 are massively, obviously, absurdly underpriced compared to equivalent Swiss or Japanese luxury alternatives. The Citizen NB1060-12L is the textbook definition of a gold mine. Exceptional quality and value that the market hasn't discovered yet. The information asymmetry still exists. The opportunity still exists. Take advantage while you can. I said 3 watches, but there's a 4th gold mine too good to ignore, and I swear, I am not doing promo for them. If you want luxury on cheap, they are a solid option. Bonus: Seiko Presage SRPD 37 Cocktail Time, the hidden gem. The Seiko Presage SRPD 37, called Cocktail Time because the dial looks like a cocktail in a glass, uses the same movement as the Citizen NB1060. The Seiko 4R35 is essentially a rebadged Miyota 9015. Same frequency, same architecture, same reliability, but the dial is completely different. It's not lacquer. It's a multi-layer sunburst dial with applied indices and a unique hour marker design inspired by Japanese glassware. The dial catches light beautifully. It's mesmerizing to watch in person. Photos don't do it justice. You need to see it in different lighting conditions to appreciate the effect. The watch retails for $350 to $500, depending on sales and retailers. For comparison, the cheapest Swiss automatic dress watch with comparable finishing is probably a Tissot Gentleman around $650 to $850. The Seiko Presage offers better dial work, better indices, better overall visual impact for $200 to $300 less. Here's why this is a gold mine. Seiko is discontinuing many Presage models as they shift toward higher-end positioning. The SRPD 37 might not be available in a year or two. When Seiko discontinues popular models, secondary market prices often increase 20 to 50% over the next 3 to 5 years. Not as investments, just natural supply and demand correction when something desirable becomes unavailable. If you want a beautiful automatic dress watch under $500, the Seiko Presage SRPD 37 is your answer. And if you buy it now while it's still in production, you're getting it at the lowest price it'll ever be. So, in summary, here's what to buy in 2026. If you want the absolute best finishing per dollar, Casio Oceanus OCW S100 for $350. Grand Seiko Finishing. Titanium. Solar. Atomic accuracy. Nothing else comes close at this price. If you hate quartz ticking but can't afford mechanical service costs, Bulova Jetstar for $400. Smoothest sweep you can buy under $1,000. Accuracy that beats any mechanical ever made. If you want handcrafted dial work, Citizen NB 106012L for $750. Hand-applied silver leaf lacquer. Buy before the market corrects to $1,200 or $1,500. If you want stunning dial work on a budget, Seiko Presage SRPD 37 for $400. Multi-layer sunburst that looks like artwork. Buy before Seiko discontinues it. That said, don't buy fashion watches. Don't buy overpriced Swiss entry luxury brands charging $1,500 for watches with worse movements and finishing than these four. Don't buy based on brand names. Don't buy based on Instagram hype. Buy based on what you're actually getting. Movement quality, finishing quality, dial work, materials, value per dollar spent. The watches on this list maximize value per dollar better than anything else under $1,000. They're not compromises. They're not budget alternatives. They're objectively excellent watches that cost less because of strategic brand positioning. The luxury watch industry runs on prestige and marketing. These four watches prove you don't need either to get exceptional quality. Buy them while they're still undervalued. Wear them. Enjoy them. Ignore people who ask, "Why aren't you wearing a Swiss watch?" Because you're wearing something better. You're just smart enough to recognize value when you see it. That's what separates collectors from consumers. Consumers buy brand names. Collectors buy quality regardless of the name on the dial. These four watches are for collectors, not consumers. If you're still watching, you're probably a collector. Welcome to the Goldmine. Like this video and subscribe.